Hi everyone. Hi
Hi.
friends.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone.
Wow, what a theme. The light has come. Oh my gosh. That is everything. That is opening your heart to the idea that you're just going to embrace that the light has come and then let all the rest of the chips fall wherever they may.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, Francis and I were just, yeah, really just rejoicing in the love of God and the love that the light has come and really just in prayer to convey fully the experience and the meaning of those words, because those of you who have studied the course know that this is lesson number 75. The light has come, and when you read it, you just feel the presence of the Christ so strong because it has such certainty, such absoluteness with it. And when you read it and when you open your mind to it, then you oftentimes get this feeling like, wow, it's not saying the light will come, the light has come. So it must mean that I can relax, that nothing is left incomplete, that nothing is left up to chance. There's a certainty with it, and that's Francis and I are just rejoicing in that feeling today, feeling that this will be an amazing weekend as we open up to the fact that the light has come.
Yeah. Even just the last few days, I was so blown away by, by the Spirit just showing me, showering me with miracles by other people coming to me to share their miracles one after the next. And it's just, so clear that, and those who have been experiencing miracles are in such conviction because they are in direct contact with the Spirit, which is the light. And the Spirit is saying, that the light has come, I have come, and the answer has come, the healing has come, and is at your hand, at your grasp. And I was just sharing with David this morning about all these profound miracles, which is always in some degree of realizing or being in this direct experience that I can truly just relax and lean back in the hands of God. And the light is with me, the light is carrying me and guiding me every single day, providing for me every little thing that I need. If I need a word, the light provides it. If I need a situation to help me open up, the situation would come to me. This is what what we live in. This is what we want to keep opening up to, this direct experience that we're actually living in the divine hands of God.
Yeah, I think everybody who's really given themselves over to this amazing journey, uh, deep down just yearns for simplicity. And I think we have to admit the light has come is got to be the simplest statement ever. We've been watching a little bit of the Chosen series this year. It's season 3, and in basically the first episode, Jesus delivers the Sermon on the Mount, and that Sermon on the Mount is the light has come sermon. The presence and the love that radiates from the Sermon on the Mount, it's like nothing else anywhere or ever. It's just like all is well. The light has come. God is love. You are love. I am love. Everything is handled. It is finished. And that sense of love and completeness, just absolute completeness, has got to be the simplest experience ever, because the human experience is not simple. Let's admit that the human experience is complex. Even recently, I was reading something about Eckhart Tolle, and he was saying that he had so much anxiety in his life and so much frustration. It was just intolerable. And basically, he had to come to a point where he just says, I can't do this anymore. It was a moment of surrender. I just can't do this anymore. And then it dawned on him that maybe it's because he was thinking and believing and acting as if there were two selves, like as if there was a personality self and something else. And then when he realized he couldn't go on with this dichotomy, then he just felt pulled into a vortex of energy and surrendered. And then we all know that nothing really changed externally for him at that point, but internally everything changed. He felt at peace. So when we say the light has come, what we're doing today is we're opening to an actual state of mind that is already there, or we could say already here. It's not a future. It's not a future thing. And the temptation is to believe, well, things would improve if some of the circumstances of my worldly life changed, with my body or my surroundings or my relationships. And that's just a temptation to defend against the light has come. Actually, nothing needs to change in form. Only our perspective on the world has to change. So what we thought we would do today is really start to go really deep into that, the idea that nothing in the world has to change for me to be who I already am, if the light has come. And Jesus is not putting an if in front of that statement. You notice he didn't say that in the Sermon on the Mount. He just basically is teaching the light has come with no ifs, ands, or buts. In other words, it's not a hypothetical, so you don't need to use the word if. It's not an and something. You don't have to include something on the tail end of that statement. It's complete in and of itself. The light has come. And you don't have to put the comma but, which is the human condition. People say to me, I know I'm only love and I know we're all one, but wait, whoa, why are we, let's leave what's the but about, a but means like however, or but means there's an exception. And Jesus is not giving us an exception when he says the light has come. So I think, what Francis and we were just talking today, there's so many miracles and there's so much witnessing and evidence that it just takes a moment of trust, which seems to be a moment of surrendering over this idea that I personally have to do something to experience that the light has come. I think the belief that there is a personality or a doer and that something needs to be done by this doer, pray more, do more. I was talking on a live the other day when my friend Alan Cohen was saying, what if God's idea of grace is bigger than your idea of karma? Isn't that a lovely idea? What if God's idea of grace is bigger than your idea of karma? Because once we open up to this belief in karma or belief in time, then that's just a denial that the light has come. So what do you think, Francis? How shall we start this off? You wrote in so many beautiful prayers and questions and themes. We were just really praying today on how we would even launch into such a huge topic. But one of the things we thought of was just starting off with gratitude, starting off with just full gratitude. And I think our friend Darren Reed from California had written something in, and wow, it caught my attention and it caught Francis's attention, because we were like, wow, that's just pure gratitude. Just it's just oozing with gratitude. So maybe Francis, we can start off with Derek's beautiful message of gratitude.
Yeah. Yep. I like it because it's a gratitude, even though the ego voice may say something, but then when you really tap deeper, Darren just like, no, actually this is the reality. So Darren wrote in, Dear Francis and David, I want to write in for this retreat for some reason I don't fully understand. Maybe just to share. I don't need to be called on, but I do want to express my gratitude. It has been a little more than a year since my first online retreat, and maybe 15 to 16 months since working more closely with your material and community overall. Recently, I have been looking back at my experiences over the last 18 months. Ego continues to offer me, you're not making enough progress, or you're not doing it the right way. But when I look back over those last 18 months, I'm truly in tears of gratitude about all changes that have occurred. The Zoom sessions, the movies, the monastery visit, with all the healing, the mighty companions that I have joined with. Facebook, which was evil before, but now serves a new purpose. The David and Svava LA trip and sessions, the relationship I have with friends, co-workers, and family now, the loving meditation and closeness to spirit, the deeper devotion, the feeling that spirit is guiding every step. I could go on and on. It just all feels really beautiful and so purposeful. So thank you for continuing to do what you do, which is point the way. I was doing a lot of watching on MWG over the Christmas break, and it just felt like spirit opened my eyes even wider. I watched Hard Time and Butterfly Effect. Wow, that butterfly movie is when I felt my mind expanding. It's not an easy movie to watch, which just helps stay on purpose. Your commentary after the movie was just so insightful, and especially when I was working on lesson 3. Everything blended. Just so grateful. Love you guys.
Oh, wow. Well, that's us floating in the light, just pure gratitude. And I noticed he said too at the end of how, when he was watching Butterfly Effect, his heart just expanded. It wasn't easy watching. And I think that's a good starting point, that when you begin to open up to spirit, there's something inside of you that knows that this is the only way you can go. This is the point of your life. And also that, as Darren was saying, that sometimes it doesn't seem easy because the ego reacts against the light. The ego doesn't want to be undone. The ego is going to try to defend against the light. And ever since the belief in separation, even though separation isn't a reality, but the belief in separation has generated guilt and fear and resistance. And I think what we can talk about today, Francis, too, is that really, as we've gone really deep into this experience, and we're not just talking about a particular pathway like A Course in Miracles, we're just talking more in general terms of waking up to who you really are. Whatever pathway you use, it doesn't really matter. There's not one pathway that's better or worse than the other. The whole point is to wake up and remember the truth. But I think we could boil it down to pray, listen, and follow. I know for myself, that is really the simplicity that I was yearning for. I just want to have you, Jesus, Holy Spirit, teach me how to pray, how to really, really pray deeply. And then when I do pray, teach me to listen to your voice and your instructions, and give me the strength to follow those instructions, and give me the willingness to take the steps that you lay before me. So I think for me, that's the simplicity of spiritual awakening, is pray, listen, and follow. And of course, the ego will try to disrupt the prayer, it will try to disrupt the listening, and it will definitely try to disrupt the following. Even if you pray, and you pray sincerely, and you hear the guidance and the instructions, the ego will still try to prevent you from the final step, because the final step of following is where the faith grows, is where your faith expands. And Francis, I know in our experience, that's made all the difference, that we didn't get into this to try to change the external circumstances. We really weren't in it to try to make a better world or make better situations. Really, the calling of the heart is we're in it for peace. We're in it for inner peace. And we're really honest and sincere about that is the purpose, is to experience fully that inner peace that God gives us as our identity, that inner love, that inner happiness and joy. So to me, maybe that's why these recent experiences where you've been having floods and floods of miracles, one encounter after the next, just showering you with witnesses of love, that those really are witnesses of pray, listen, and follow. That's really a witness that there was great sincerity with the prayer and the listening and the following.
Yeah. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, I know it is definitely the experience, because I feel like in my experience, I really did not know the light. I did not even know the light exists. I did not know the spirit exists, and what does it even mean? Just even getting into the course, it felt like an idea that sounds so good, and I was reading and reading, but once I started to see that there is a direct contact, there's a direct contact with the spirit, and it is through, he comes through guiding me, and it's my part just to say yes and follow. That really started to become, light becomes an actual experience, and the happiness started to grow in my mind. And I feel like, this is why it's such a good news, because the light is not in the future and is not in the past. It's really right here, right now. And we can get into it right now if we say yes to it. There's just so many examples. All the guidance the Spirit is providing is saying, you need to put thoughts in nothing. You don't need to think about what you eat, what you put on to your body. You do not need to know what to do. You don't need to know who to meet, what to say, and to whom. I would orchestrate absolutely everything if you just trust, put your mind in trust. And that's where the peace is. And that's where I feel like you and us and all of us who devote our lives to this journey become the first-hand witness of the light, with us, and our mind just become expanding and expanding into this peace. So it's such amazing journey.
Yeah, to truly put God first, like the first two commandments of the Bible, that Jesus came and he didn't come to clarify the letter of the law. He came to clarify the spirit of the law. He basically came to wash away anything that was extraneous to, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and might, and love thy neighbor as thyself. He really just, even when he came, he was into simplification, you see. He said, oh, we got 10 commandments, 2 will work for what I'm going to teach you. Isn't that lovely? Already he's taken 10 and he's boiled it down to 2. And then he's basically saying that it's your attitude, your motivation, it's your state of mind that teaches the whole universe. So don't be so concerned about what you'll wear or what you'll eat. Don't be concerned about tomorrow. He sent these apostles out 2 by 2, and he said, don't take any extra provisions. Don't take any extra clothing. Don't take any extra sandals. Don't take any extra food. Walk out in trust because the light has come. I'm telling you to go and share this good news. Basically, that's pretty simple. When you come and you take the 10 commandments and you shrink them to 2, and then you send the apostles out 2 by 2 with no extra food or clothing, and just say, go proclaim the good news. Now, he must have known that what they would seem to encounter would bring up the ego. Imagine if you're suddenly told, go out and heal the sick and cast out demons, and some of them were actually like, Lord, wait a minute, we're just brand new to this. We just started following you, and you're saying, go out and proclaim the good news. So Jesus must have known that in asking them to go out and extend and share, that would bring up all the blocks to the awareness of love, all the blocks to the kingdom of heaven. So he was really just giving them instructions to build their faith. He wasn't trying to build an earthly kingdom. He wasn't really concerned about how many people would follow him or not. He was concerned about a purification, like he talked about in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Even if you just took that one teaching, blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And you were told you have everything you need to experience that purity. Now go forth and shine your light among those of the world. Without preparations. I think the without preparations part is important too, because what are preparations except past learning? Except, oh, my body's going to need food. Maybe I should stuff some extra bread under my tunic. Jesus said, don't do that. Oh, but my clothes could get dirty and worn out and have holes in them, and I'm out on the road. I don't have my wife to mend my tunic or to wash my clothes. I'm just going to be out there on the road. Maybe I should pack and have one change of clothing. That would be practical. Jesus says, no, don't do that. Don't take any extra clothes. And that's, to me, how we learn divine providence. Because only our past learning tells us that we have to provide for ourselves as a person. Most of us grew up knowing, our parents taught us, don't be a moocher. Don't be dependent on people. Some of them even said, don't be dependent on the government. Don't be dependent on your neighbors, your friends. Be independent. Be a strong, independent citizen who knows how to work and save money and provide for yourself, right? We were taught that, don't mooch off the government and off of other people, but provide for yourself. But I think now this new instruction from Jesus is go forth in faith that the light has come, and don't be dependent on your personality self either. Because if you put faith in the body and the personality, that's not going to lead you to the kingdom of heaven. That's going to be another ego trick of reinforcing the body as a reality. So this goes against the grain. This goes against what our parents taught us. And when Jesus first spoke these things back then, I don't know if some of you remember from the Bible and The Chosen, but when he went back to visit Mary a couple episodes ago, his brothers, his biological brothers, James and Jude, went to the next town when they heard he was coming home. Interesting, homecoming. Your brothers go to the next town during Rosh Hashanah, during this holy Jewish holiday. Your brothers leave town when they find out that you're coming, and only your mother is left there. And she tries to do a people pleasing, like, well, it's not that they don't like you, but you're a bit much. Try to smooth it over a little bit. So when you follow the light, you have to realize you can't let any past associations stand in the way. You can't put family above Christ or God. You can't put interpersonal relationships above Christ or God. Jesus spoke, the Holy Spirit spoke through him and said, "Who is my father, mother, sister, brother? He that does the will of our Father in heaven is father, mother, sister, brother." You see how radical that was 2,000 years ago. And if you have any inkling about how strong the Jewish tradition was, the family roles were very strong, the rituals in the synagogue were very strong, and all of the institutions, the Pharisees, the scribes, the Sadducees, the government around the Romans had invaded and taken over, Galilee and the areas of what we would call Israel today. And here comes Jesus is saying, actually, everything that you believe about this world is the past. And you just need to have faith and follow the light right now. And the light will give you instructions how to undo your belief in this world and to experience directly that you are the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. He said, the word within is unnecessary. The kingdom of heaven is you. The identity of the light is certain, is God-given, and there is nothing else. So when you go for this experience, this has been my experience, is Jesus was just saying to me, stay with me, David, stay with me. Don't look back. Don't look back. If you look back, you're going to have ifs and buts, coulda, woulda, shouldas rising all over the place. If you look back, just have the faith and go with me on this awakening journey, and you shall receive what everyone shall receive, is the light, the light presence. So, wow, Francis, whoa, what a great start, huh?
I know, even like when you were talking, I was thinking in The Chosen, when Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2 and saying, you're gonna go out, heal the sick, raise the dead, you're gonna do exactly what I was doing. And the disciples, they're not identified with the Christ like Jesus is. So they were like, what? I'm not prepared. That's the prepared word, like David was talking about. I thought it's so important. We don't need to prepare. And then Jesus said, because I give you authority to do it. So Jesus is completely identified with Christ. And Christ, that's why he could say, I have overcome the world. He didn't say, I come here to cope with the world or battle with the world, or, I'm doing okay, I'm coping it. He didn't say that. He said, I overcome the world. And you can overcome the world if you identify with the Christ, if you receive guidance that I give you moment by moment. You're going to operate in a law that above this world, and that's your direct experience with the light. This is who the light is. This is who you really are. You're not in this world, and you have to taste it. That's why when Jesus met with the woman who was at the well, and she was talking about drinking the water, and Jesus said, "Drink of me, and you shall never be thirsty again." This is Jesus Christ talking directly from the light, saying, "I will give you your daily bread, and this bread is not going to feed your body. It's not only going to feed your body, but it will feed your mind. It will provide peace. It will provide understanding. It will provide joy. It will provide healing. This is the daily bread I'm feeding you every single day. You drink of me, and you shall never thirst again. You eat of me, you're never hungry again. And I have overcome the world, and you can too, just by joining with me." That's what I think is the true teaching, and that's what he was basically telling the whole world. This is why it's the good news. This is why this is the news of the Gospels, and still the good news today when Jesus comes to our mind to give us instructions. I have overcome the world, and I am with you. Join me. That's his constant message. Just join me. Do not prepare. Do not prepare by yourself. And he even said something in the course. When I read it, it was quite funny. He said, "You made two choices, basically two choices in the world that you would constantly trying to decide which one to choose between." And he said, every single time you think you have to decide on which one, neither is true. You have to seek beyond the choice you make to what I offer you. This is why we're talking about listen and follow. This is what guidance really is. It's not about a choice in this world because it comes from above this world. This is so important. This is for everyone. This is for all time, not just for this time, it's for all time, for all space, for every single one. The light has come because the light is right here that's guiding us. And oh my God, if we give ourselves over to this light, if we don't doubt and say, "I'm not ready, I'm not," that like the disciples, they could struggle a little bit, but that is the ego's voice. You're not ready. You're not the Christ. Who do you think you are? That is the ego's voice, basically directly saying you're not the Christ. Can you see the real message there by this self-doubt? You're not the Christ. Jesus is saying you are. I say you are. And when we give ourselves over to just say, I'm not gonna doubt this guidance. I'm not gonna doubt this guidance. I'm gonna go forth with this guidance. This is basically proclaiming, okay, I trust who you say I am, and I'm gonna taste it for myself that this light is with me. And yeah, in the last few days, I was just listening to Soren, to Susanna, to Anna and Ken are there. They're just telling me all these parables or the miracles. But the key point that I feel so inspired by was this point of no effort and no preparation. Everything you need is given you. If you need a night's sleep, Ken and Anna said, we need a night's sleep, but we're not even telling anybody. We don't go announce, we need a night's sleep. Someone, can you tell me? They did not say a word. And then people would rise up to tell them, we want to host you. This is how the Christ guides us. Without every effort, the Christ is walking before us, tell us where to go, what to do, who to meet. And isn't this the life that we want to live?
Yeah. Yeah, you could say the whole human condition could be summarized really in body thoughts. I mean, for one instant, if there were no body thoughts, I am as God created me would seem the most natural idea ever. I am spirit would be natural. I am the holy child of God would be natural, but body thoughts come in the way. So when we listen to the stories of the parables and the miracles, what I always hear when I hear all these miracles is such faith, such take no thought for what I shall wear or what I should eat. Take no thought for the body. What a lovely idea. I take no thought for the body. My mind would be nurtured by the light. My mind desires to know the truth. My mind desires to know that I'm still in the mind of God. I'm an idea, an eternal idea in the mind of God. And it's only body thoughts that get in the way. So divine providence is basically the faith to say, all right, God, you first. I, as a human being, may believe I have preferences. Jesus is like, try that one on. Prefer God. Why not prefer God? Instead of trying to choose between the images, do I want the pork or the chicken? Do I want the beans and rice or the beans all alone? Do I want this kind of person sexually or that kind of person? Do I want to live in a hut or a mansion? Do I want to live in the warmth or the cold? And Jesus is like, put God first. Put God first. Enough of these body thoughts. You're not a body. You weren't created as a body. Enough. And when you put God first, whoa, the miracles come raining down. You're so happy. You think, oh my gosh, when I put God first, everything is given me. Because how would a human being know what the right choice is in any situation? I love that in the early workbook where Jesus comes right out and says, in no situation do you know your own best interest. He doesn't say in some situations. He doesn't say in most situations. He actually says, it comes right out in the workbook and says, in no situation do you know your best interest. And then in the next lesson, he says, everything is for your own best interest. So that's what I'd love to get into today. And Francis, I think Andrea Martin really put it very nicely. Andrea, what you wrote into us is describing the conundrum of the human condition. And maybe we can use your writing here to spring, for all of us, to spring higher, to go much higher.
Sure. I can read Andrea's question. Hi, David and Francis. Because of the five senses, I feel so local and bound to / inside of this body, especially when the body seemingly has sensations that are unpleasant. I can see how ego uses this to secure its foothold of the false identity. I have ideas that I'm not this body, and that what I am is expanded beyond measure. But those ideas haven't really moved the needle on experience as of yet. I'm identified as the dream figure and central character in this life narrative. I trust that as I take all the steps along the course journey, that these identifications will lighten as spirit leads more and more. If it feels deepening for the retreat experience for all, could you speak to practical ways to continue to disrupt these identifications? Maybe you have a few secret weapons in addition to forgiveness practice? My prayer is to have an experience that dissolves false identification and gives me a glimpse of the truth. I want to know the light and love of God in my heart.
Oh, now we're getting down to the goodies of pray, listen, and follow. Now we're opening to say to Jesus, show us how to pray and listen and follow. Because the ego says you first should understand and then pray and listen and follow. And Jesus, when he was sending out the apostles, he didn't speak anything about understanding. Do you notice that in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus preaches about many things, but not about understanding? And the human belief is you have to understand before you do. It would be like you trying to talk to your parents and they say, what's your plan for your life? And you say, well, I don't know. I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to listen and follow. And your parents say, good, good, good. But what is your plan for your life? You know, give me some concrete plan. Are you going to go to school? Are you going to get married? Are you going to have children? What profession are you going into? You know, these are parental thoughts. I have to say all these parental thoughts are body thoughts of the future. Let's be honest. And then when you say, well, I'm going to pray, listen, follow, and then they might say, do you understand what you're doing? You're sounds like you're giving your life away. Yes, you are. You are laying down your personality self-life for the Christ. That's the way you answer. Sounds like you're laying your life aside. Yes, I am. Voluntarily, willingly, for Christ, to follow the Holy Spirit. So I think what you're asking for, Andrea, is what is essential to practice this forgiveness. If forgiveness is the awareness that the past never happened, why would we look to the past to make future plans? Why would we look to the past, which Jesus tells us is, first of all, it's over and gone, and second of all, in case you missed it, it never happened at all. You're planning your earth life on something that is hypothetical. What do I mean by hypothetical? It's as if the separation occurred. You know, the world is as if the separation occurred. So you're planning your future based on hypothetical separation, which actually is not real. So to me, that's the key. I guess Francis and I can talk a little bit about that in our own experience. And also we have amazing, mighty companions with us today that have tossed it all aside. They've tossed it all aside and put God first. And they've got a few miracles to share what happened when they tossed it all aside and put God first, because that made all the difference. But maybe we can start, Francis, with us in jumping in to pray, listen, and follow. There was a lot of education we had to toss out. There was a lot of past learning we had to toss out. There was a lot of past memories that we had to toss out before we could pray, listen, follow, because it's only the past that blocks you from the light. And the ego uses the past to project a non-existent future to keep you from the present light right now. And I know for you, Francis, that was important. You had, 12, 13 years of education, had your own business, you were doing well. Like the world would say, good, good, good. Francis, very good, very good. And we know from people like Eckhart Tolle that when he had his big aha experience, it didn't look good in form. People would say, you're lost, you're out, you're hopping around from friend to friend, you're staying with friends, you're going and sleeping on park benches. That's not what our parents wanted us to do with our life, sleep on park benches. Did any of you have parents that encouraged you to sleep on park benches? I didn't. My parents would say, Oh, please don't do that. That's a terrible reflection on us. We raised our son to go sleep on park benches and meditate. Oh my God, pull my hair out. But actually, what you have to do is you have to be willing to actually let go of the past as if it taught you something valuable. And you have to be so open to say, I'm going to pray, listen, and follow. And now I'm going to be shown the way. Nothing I did before helped me. In fact, it didn't help at all. So what do you think, Francis? That's how it went for you too. You really had to take a leap of faith in this whole journey.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to let go of old education and which actually is to build up a life that you think can provide you everything you ever wanted in this world, and to kind of stop, like let it go. I quit my job and then to say I'm going to move to a monastery. That was, for me, it was huge, but because I also let go of my future plan, which involve using my skills and to earn enough money so that I can live a comfortable life. I can travel around the world. I can, there's like a plan that I made for the body and how to achieve it as well. And there was just kind of tossing it all aside, but not because I think that is a better plan. It's more because Jesus made appearance, I feel, in my heart, and I feel so compelled. I cannot hold back. I have to go towards that feeling of so much love and expansion. I had to, there's nothing else that I could stop me. And when I went there, I realized Jesus actually wants to use all my skills and all the preferences to serve his plan. It's like nothing was lost. I was traveling. I jumped into the monastery life and I started traveling for 10 years nonstop. That was what I thought I would do with my built-up stack in my bank account, and then maybe by my 50s, 60s years old, I can start travel without any lack thoughts. But the Spirit is saying, I know you have this preference, and this preference can still serve my plan, but you have to put my plan first, and I'm gonna orchestrate everything. So even I remember even a few years ago, I did this long retreat with Kirsten in Japan, and my mom heard that I was gonna go to Japan, and she said, "Oh, I haven't seen you for years. Come visit me." And I said, I cannot plan things around that, because my plan is Jesus' plan is to go to Japan and to do this retreat. This is my priority, and I have to see what's going to happen there. And she's like, "Oh, but come see me." So I said, well, I cannot really think about that. I have to focus on this first. So I started to look at tickets to go to Japan, and it turned out that month is a big holiday month in Japan. The tickets are so expensive, it's like $2,000 to fly there. And the only flight that is cheap and direct, unbelievable, $200 direct flight from US to Beijing, where my mom is, and another $200 from Beijing to Japan. I searched everywhere to go fly direct to Japan or anywhere else. It was so obvious. This is the plan. But the thing is, it's not coming from me. I put whatever priority first, and I'm willing to do anything, but I'm not gonna think all these aspects of life. All of these aspects of life are not really my own anymore. It's Jesus serving his plan. And he orchestrated. I not only have to go to China once, I have to go there twice, because I have to return too. So she was so happy and I was so happy, but it was because it was given, it was provided for. And that is really how, in the end, you realize everything that we experience in this world are provided by God and provided by the light, by the Spirit, is so abundantly provided for what the mind really needs, not what the body really needs, what the mind really needs for the peace, for the understanding is actually provided. The understanding is not gained by ourselves, but the understanding is actually provided through letting go of our own plans and giving our life to this calling and to this guidance. Then, yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. So when we talk about pray and listen, follow, that is not designed for you to build a self-concept. You know, the world is big into the new age and manifesting and building success. Build your business, build your family, build a better country. Live a life that has more than you have now. And Jesus is saying, no, what you have, the Christ, is what you are, the Christ. Jesus isn't interested in us succumbing to a particular religion or theology. It's not like we can please God by saying, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Zoroastrian, I'm a Christian, or I'm an atheist, I'm an agnostic, or whatever those concepts are. Jesus is like, put God first. Be willing to unlearn your religions, unlearn your theologies. God is just, there's this one God, and God is pure love. Do you think God is dingling around with theologies? Oh yeah, I think you should be a Hindu over here and Buddhist here. You be a good Christian. In fact, Kate Wiley actually wrote in, that was the first question I saw, Kate. This was so great. Catherine Ann Wiley, Pennsylvania. Kate wrote, I've been thinking about how the love of God has no fear or retribution involved. But in Christianity, it certainly does. So I try to be peaceful and hand that forgiveness opportunity over to Holy Spirit for myself, but I still don't really feel comfortable when I see others praise God for killing Jesus. So talk about that if you want to. Thanks. Yes, that's insane. Those thoughts are insane, that God would praise God for killing Jesus. It's just, we have to forgive the belief in sacrifice. Let's not pin it on the Catholics or on particular people around the world, what they believe or don't believe. The belief in sacrifice is the belief that there's something valuable in this world. The only problem with that, saying that there's something valuable in this world, is God didn't create this world. God didn't create the cosmos. So how would anything of the cosmos have value if God is pure love and God didn't create the cosmos, you see? So I would say, if you're having trouble forgiving Christianity, just realize that you've got to put God first. Put God higher than Christianity. That's right. Put God higher than philosophy. Put God higher than any religion, any psychology. Put God higher than psychology. When we put God first, we're much more open to start to realize that who we are is the light, who we are is the Christ. But if we don't put God first, then we try to be a good mom, a good dad, a good citizen. We try to, be a good philosophical person. Maybe we feel intelligence and smarts is important, so we try to be intelligent. No, put God above worldly intelligence. Put God above family relationships. Put God above interpersonal relationships. Higher than husband or wife. Yes, higher than husband or wife is God. Because remember, God is the goal. God is our goal. And if we put anything above our desire to know God, we're making an idol image that the ego has made, and we're accepting it as an acceptable goal for our journey. And I just got to a point where I thought, I'm ready to pray, listen, follow, and I'm not going to pursue anything of this world that would get in the way of knowing my Creator. And now that's how you start to realize the light has come. You don't put anything else. You still are the same. You have this love coming from you, this joy, this happiness, this peacefulness just coming from you, coming from your very being, extending to everything and everyone. But it does come from not putting anything before God. I see all these different posts on Instagram and on Facebook about, you need to let go of being concerned about what other people think about you. Let me tell you something. People don't think. People are projections. People are projections of the ego. How can projections of the ego have real thoughts? They don't. When you put faith in people and in the flesh, those are more body thoughts. We're back to the very same thing. We need to pray, listen, follow to undo the body thoughts, because it's only body thoughts that the ego has generated. There's one point in the course, in the text, where Jesus says, don't ask to see your brother without a body. Your real question should be, do I want to see him sinless? You see how he takes it off of the body, and he says, wouldn't it be great if you just wished innocence upon everyone, regardless of what they look like in form or didn't look like? We can go beyond humans. Let's go to aliens. Let's wish innocence on ET. Let's, people talk about witches. Wish innocence on witches. Well, that's a tongue twister. Wish innocence on witches. Wish innocence on warlocks. Wish innocence on everyone and everything. Because why? Because innocence is real. We love everyone. We're not going to stop with the body. We're spirit. We've always been spirit. We were created as spirit. And this, some people may say, is this really practical, David? This is the most practical. I'm telling you, the most practical thing there is. So this is really good, because I'm just loving everything that you've written in. But with Kate, I think there was a time when I was trying to forgive Christians, and Jesus was like, David, put God first. Come on, aim a little higher. Come aim at me. Come aim at me. Don't be trying to forgive Christians or forgive the Buddhists or forgive the Hindus. Or don't try to forgive the false concepts. I want you to just release them and come home to heaven. That's the whole point. Oh, sweet, 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 sweet. Whee! That's it. Well, what do you feel, Francis? We had a lot of things that were written in, but I actually feel like today's session's more to hear some of these witness of miracles. I mean, I'm just looking at the screen, and I see Anna and Ken sitting there. They took off from Mexico with no clue what was going to come next. They just took off for Spain with no clue. And Micah and Amanda are there too. They just took off with no clue. The faith is when you go forth, because you follow the guidance and you have absolutely no clue what is going to happen. Because remember, first lesson of the course is nothing I see means anything. The third lesson is, I do not understand anything I see. And the fourth lesson is, these thoughts do not mean anything. And just from those three early lessons, that should tell us that we need faith, because our five senses are not taking us back to God. The ego made the five senses to keep us asleep. And now we need to pray, listen, follow. So what do you feel, Francis? Shall we open up and hear some of these miracles of faith that we've been hearing?
That would be amazing.
Well, maybe we could go to QDS. We have Anna and Kenneth there, and I can't say that you've landed, because you never land. You too never land. You two are in the flow of the Spirit. So it just looks by appearances that you're in Mexico now, but appearances can be deceiving. Maybe you want to share a little bit about what you've experienced after you put God first and kind of just jumped in to pray, listen, and follow. There seems like there were many miracles that came for the mind. Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can start.
Well, I just feel like there are no words really to describe everything that has happened. We would repeat this, this same message, like put God first, over and over in our trip in Spain and Europe, because we were like completely fulfilled by the experience of that, and how true it is, and how it's just not some words that we read. Or I grew up with the Bible in my hometown and everything, and my mom would always repeat, put the kingdom of God first and everything will be added onto you. And I would just hear it, and it didn't really really make sense. On this trip, it was like, oh my God, the words were alive. It's like, this is everything, this is everything. And like, our hearts were so fulfilled by the experience and all the miracles, that we were just like, our eyes were on God, and everything was being provided for the body, without our effort at all. If I needed a winter coat, it would appear. If I needed, I would even think, oh, my pajamas are a bit ratty, I will need a new pair. I would just think it, not even say it. And the next second, even Ken's mother, oh, I bought you a pair of pajamas, it's like, what, like to the smallest details. But our heart was just so fulfilled, just wanting to be with whoever we were with, completely just give our whole hearts. That, it was, I don't know, being used.
Yeah, it was like, in a way, it's like quantum leap, you just leap into these universes, and then you just see what happens from that, really. But as Anna, you said, like in most of our gatherings, every single gathering, really, we just were reinforcing that idea that we have to put God first. There's nothing else, particularly when we're out in the world, when there's so many distractions, there's so much else going on, and we want nothing else. So we have to be firm in our conviction. But yet, really, we're not really doing anything in that. We just couldn't really dream it up, could we? Because everything that we needed completely comes without your effort. And really, what I saw is Jesus doesn't want you to focus on time and space. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about that. He can undo any door. It doesn't matter to him. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. He wants to show you the power of your mind. And I think that's what I saw through this whole trip. Like, Anna, you just transformed completely. She's just like a powerhouse of miracles,
You too.
And that's really like how it all happens, isn't it? Because he is leading the way truly. And in that, everything comes. And so when it seems like there's not a bed being provided, so like we get to that point, don't we? What did we do? Well, he's provided so far. So if I'm going to need a bed, I'm going to be given a bed, aren't I? I ain't got time for that. We've got this gathering to do now, you know. And then we just do that. We forget to completely share with anybody that we've got nowhere to go. And then we get invited.
It wasn't even coming out of our mouths at all. Like, I was surprised, you know, I was like, with all the messages coming through, we were both really sparked to speak. But it just didn't come out at all during the whole gathering. It's like, okay, we don't have anywhere to sleep tomorrow, but he hasn't failed us once. Why would he start now, you know, with all the small details? So,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Time for concern.
Yeah, I think we can get into this a little deeper too, because, for example, the time when you were guided to leave Mexico and go to Spain, was what the world was calling the pandemic. So here you are, and Jesus is like, okay, I want you to travel, shine the light. The light has come, go forth and shine the light. And one of the big topics over the last 2 or 3 years has been COVID, for example. Let's talk about COVID and how that relates to the light has come. You want the practical application? Let's look right into that very deeply. The solution for COVID, the solution for world hunger, the solution for war, the solution for every disease in the history of the human race, the cure for every interpersonal conflict between husbands and wives and families, between races, between nations, is put God first. So here at Ken and Anna, they put God first. And in order to go to Spain, at the time they were going to go to Spain, there was a requirement that you could not land in Spain without a vaccination, right? So here they do. They go to the United States and have all these miracles so they can just get vaccinated to come back to Mexico so they can fly to Spain. So by putting God first, the guidance was Jesus was orchestrating time and space and orchestrating even a COVID vaccination for you for the purpose of shining the light. And then when they get there, they go around, people show up at huge gatherings. There's lots of hugging, kissing going on. I bet you didn't have a lot of social distancing at those gatherings. And it's because they put God first. They were operating in the realm of the mind. Well, guess what? COVID doesn't exist in the realm of the mind, the right mind. You understand what I'm saying? The right mind is the realm of the Holy Spirit. And guess what? COVID does not inhabit the right mind. So when you follow guidance, which is what you were doing, just following your life's calling, you didn't know what was going to come, but you knew you had to go to Los Angeles, get your vaccinations just to get into Spain. And then when you got over there, you went all over Spain doing gatherings, hugging, kissing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And then the one time when you were supposed to go and get hosted by a man, and it turns out the man had COVID, but Jesus didn't even let you in the door. He rearranged time and space and had you go to a neighbor's house. So this reminds me of that passage in the Course, that once you have accepted his plan as the one function you would fulfill, there will be nothing else that will not be arranged for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your way and leaving in your way no stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you, not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing except the only purpose you would fulfill. This is Jesus in A Course in Miracles. That's lilies of the field. That's lilies of the field stuff. You know, look at the lilies of the field. They neither spin nor toil. So, meanwhile, for those years you were over in Spain and Europe, you didn't have to worry about COVID. And people would say, how did Ken and Anna do that? How could you go around and travel from country to country in planes, in trains, in subways, in buses, in taxi, in other people's cars, in electric cars, everything like this, and not take one thought for COVID? During the pandemic, people would say, how did you do that? And Anna said it right there. She grew up in a household in Guatemala where her mother simply said over and over, put the kingdom of heaven first. Put the kingdom of, it was drilled into her mind. Put the kingdom of heaven first, and all else shall be added unto you. Now that's practical. When I look at all the questions you're writing in, and you're saying, how do I get out of this personal identity? It's actually very simple. Put the kingdom of heaven first, and then pray, listen, and follow, and follow that guidance that you hear within, without exception. Don't backtalk to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. It doesn't do any good to backtalk Jesus. I found that out. It's like Jesus tells me, this is what I want you to do. In the early days, I have to say, I was very uncomfortable with some of the things that Jesus wanted me to say and do. Imagine how the apostles felt. Go out, cast out demons, heal the sick in my name. I give you authority. But Lord, we're just starting off as apostles. We just heard your first Sermon on the Mount. Lord, Lord. And I felt the same way at the beginning. Jesus is like, call so-and-so. I want you to go visit so-and-so. Oh, by the way, David, I want you to go traveling. I said, traveling? Because I didn't like to travel. I'd say, Jesus, traveling? Where? And he said, go west. West? What the hell? I was like, go west. Can you be a little more specific? No, I will instruct you day to day. Just go west. And then I did go west. And then so many miracles, everything unfolded from going west. Can you tell me, Jesus, how long I will be traveling? No, go west. That's the instruction right now. Drive west. He also got me a car through a miracle, and then I got this little car, and he said, go west. And I think, so for Ken and Anna, all you felt was a strong feeling that you were to go to Europe, go to Spain, and that was the initial call. And then all the other subsequent guidance came from just praying. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you didn't really know the form of anything, but you always knew it was for a lesson in your mind.
Yeah, it's like when we don't concern ourselves with a form, then we just concern ourselves with the mind. Then everything can happen from that. And so then that was really to open up our hearts to one another, to everyone and everything. And really, like this retreat is our goal was just to see the light in everyone. And that was that was really it. It was just very, very simple. We just had to pray for miracles. We just wanted miracles every day. Whatever our lesson was going to be, whatever healing needed to come would come. And it was like, but seemingly where we were traveling around, you would think that we would really have to focus on those things, but they were so completely and utterly taken care of that really we just had to be with our state of mind and really, really join together. But in that, like, we weren't really looking to achieve something or to go anywhere, or even really, really thinking about the next steps of what might happen. It really had to be like moment to moment to moment, to be what is happening right now. Where is our peace of mind right now? Do we need to share with one another? And we just had to keep sharing our private thoughts with one another to keep healing our minds. And then from that, Jesus just surprises us with all of his gifts. So yeah, and it was like whatever's needed in the greater plan, it's for him. So if we need cables for TVs, that comes. If Anna needs clothes, that comes. If something breaks, it gets fixed. If doors need to open, they will be opened. But all the time, of course, when you're in the world, it can look like seemingly things are going wrong. We've got this COVID thing going along. And I was just like, well, I can't see really Jesus wanting me to, what's the word where you got a...
Have COVID?
If you've got COVID, you've got to
Isolate.
isolate. I can't see Jesus wanting me to isolate, so I haven't got time to think about any of these things. We just really, really have to truly be in the miracle all the time, because everything's happening so fast, seemingly in the world and where you're moving around, that you just have to stay completely present with yourself.
Yeah, and even like we didn't know like where are we going next. You know, at the beginning when David, you know, the inspiration came for us to go to Spain, like we didn't know almost anyone. Like of all the people we stayed with, which was over 30 houses, almost 40 houses in the 1 year that we were traveling, like we didn't I just lost my train of thought.
We didn't know them.
Yeah, we didn't know them. We didn't know how long we would stay with them. We didn't know really anything. So it was just like this huge leap of faith. And also like with the COVID, we were not gonna say like, hello, can you host us? And by the way, we have COVID, you know, like it wasn't even in our mind at all. Like this doesn't make sense, you know? So, you know, like that, like we were just, every house we would go, we were just so completely present. Like every moment, so completely present. Like, what is now? How can we be helpful now? How can we really connect in a much deeper way with our host or whoever we're with? And that was our focus every day, all day. And that just made such a huge difference. You know, we weren't really thinking, where are we going tomorrow or next week? We actually had no clue whatsoever. And we're just going moment by moment. And in that, everything was being given, you know, moments where we really didn't know where we would sleep the next day or we would be next week. We would just sit and pray. We would just sit and pray. And truly, it happened like 3 times that we were just praying. And as we're stopping and praying, like, okay, Jesus, where would you have us go? You know, we're just here to serve you. Then honestly, messages would come from people that we have never met saying, I would love to host you. And it just happened to be that they lived in the town next to the one we were staying. Like, it's just, you know, how is that even possible? Or even getting friend requests of people that lived in the same town that we were just landing in. You know, friend requests, which is like, you know, how is this even possible? So like every person that we needed to meet, it would just come in front of us. Everything was like that. Everything that we needed to do would just come. Like we didn't ask anyone, can you set up a gathering for us? Or can you organize a retreat for us? There was never one time that we did that. And yet everyone just kept coming to us like, would you do this? Would you like to do this? I want to organize a retreat. Would you come? And we're like, okay, you know, we're just going along. Like whatever was happening, we were happy. And it didn't really even matter whether it was gathering, no gathering, whether 1 people arrived at the gathering or whether it was 40 people in the gathering. Like, I just feel like there was such a big acceptance in my heart and openness to whatever was coming, and that I didn't know the form which was best. So somehow I feel like this trip has brought us both, Ken and I, you know, our friend Diana mentioned this, like this trip has brought you both into the arms of Jesus. Like we could only rest and step back completely and just be with him, there with him, just holding us. And he was the one carrying us wherever we needed to go.
Oh, beautiful. Well, it's, you know, to me, this is great because what you're witnessing is very much like when Jesus sent the apostles out, that what it was teaching you was to pray, listen, follow. When you put God first, everything else is provided. I remember you told me one time you were in Barcelona, I think, and took a train all the way out with a friend and didn't even know how you would get back to where you were staying. And then you prayed that the train appeared to get back. Trains show up, places to stay show up. The key thing is that the Holy Spirit and Jesus orchestrate absolutely everything. And that undoes the belief that there's a person in charge, that Anna's got to figure something out, that Kenneth has to figure something out. And even though I know there's many teachings and many philosophies and spiritualities, I would say that it's not until you start trusting so deeply and letting go of trying to control and order the world. Because I know a lot of people you went to that invited you, you weren't trying to make invitations, you were accepting invitations. You had to pray, you got so many invitations, you had to pray on which ones to accept. How's that for undoing scarcity and lack? You just had so many coming at you, places to stay, invitations, please come. And I think it's the same thing that happened when Jesus first started preaching. Is he was preaching about the kingdom of heaven. He was saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He was teaching, put all your faith in God, all your trust in God. And that message you shared, not only by words, but you were demonstrating it day by day by day. That was striking, where people would say, but where do you live? And you'd say, we don't really live anywhere. And then now you've got their curiosity. when your answer is we don't really live anywhere, then people go, how do you do that? How can you possibly exist in this world without having a home in the world? Jesus taught, the birds have their nest and the foxes have their holes, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. He was really teaching that where we truly live is in our mind. And that's what did Ramana Maharshi teach? What did Nisargadatta teach? What do all the mystics and saints teach? That who we are has no location. But when you're putting God first and you seem to be on the move and you're saying we're just trusting in God and we have no location, that really is a striking example, because that goes against the human condition. The human condition says you have to have a place to live, right? That's what our mom and dads want. Why do we go through education? Why do we go through all these hoops except we have to have a place to live? And that's what I discovered in my early travels when I was out and about all over. Before Ken and Anna left, I remember saying to Francis, let's go have lunch with Ken and Anna. I've got all this joy of all these miracles I experienced when I was out on the road, and they're getting ready to go out on the road. I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the whole planet because it just starts to demonstrate true faith and trust is not having concern for the body. Don't give in to these body thoughts. Your function is much greater than caring for a body or other bodies. Your function is vast. You are the Christ. I woke up this morning, Nana, your video was the first video I saw, Nana, on Instagram, and Nana just was a prayer. She was in a prayer about putting God first, and God, help me put you first, and help me think of put nothing but you. Let me make no decisions apart from what you would have me decide. It was such a beautiful prayer. I was telling a few people this morning, wow, what a way to wake up with your prayer there, Nana, because that was just the same topic that we're talking about, putting God first. So, okay, Francis, where do we go from here? What's that triggering in your lovely heart?
Well, I yesterday I had lunch with Anna and Ken. That was the first time I was listening to their miracles. And after the lunch, Lisa was like, why are you so quiet? I said, I'm speechless. That's why I'm so quiet, because there's nothing else to say, to add on to anything in this world. When you hear the Christ's presence, it's like this is everything. And I remember even Ken and Anna was saying to us, they were saying to us that even down to the healing of the mind. You know, they were going through also the undoing and the healing journey as they were seemingly move about time and space, giving gatherings, but they're also going through their undoing. And then they were telling me that if that is a time they couldn't hold it together, they needed to break down and have a big expression, the perfect host would show up that would experience the exact same thing and wanted to express and cry together. But if it is actually most helpful for them to step up and share, then a big gathering will show up. They have to be teaching. And that is talking about divine providence, talking about the Christ knows what is most helpful for the healing of the mind. The bodies, the logistics, the plane tickets and all that feels so little compared to the healing of the mind and the expansiveness, but that is completely orchestrated. That's why nobody can know what is the best decision to make, because nobody can know what the mind needs to heal. The healer knows, and the healer is saying, I'm orchestrating the gathering to heal your mind. I'm orchestrating this host. But that's why they're so wide open. They were open. They say, okay, if the host say, we're going there, I'm saying yes, because this openness enables the spirit to come through, to do the work on a daily basis. So that just feels like, what a testimony, you know, so inspiring.
Yeah, I think when I'm hearing about your travels too, it's reminding me when I traveled, Jesus was always just telling me, I'll guide you where to go. Don't take any thought for what you'll wear or what you will eat. And he meant it too. I mean, when I would go into a home and they'd say, come and stay with us for a few days, but we are strictly vegetarian. Jesus was like, great. Or I would go to the next home and they say, you want pepperoni or blood sausages or beef? And I'd say, whatever you're having is great for me, because Jesus doesn't care about food either. And I know for you, Ken and Anna, you would have to just go and accept what's given. That's what Jesus was teaching me when I was traveling, accept what's given and appreciate that you're being hosted with love, and appreciate whatever food you're offered and appreciate whatever place to stay. I was happy to I was on a couch one night. The next night I was in a guest room. One time I went to Colombia. I was in a bed one night. Then I was in a closet. They put me in a closet, a large closet on the floor. But you gotta love that everything is orchestrated to let go of your personal preferences and to prefer God. Put God first before your past preferences. Put the spirit of love first before anything. Have no expectations of how the form needs to be, because you don't need the form to be a certain way to be happy. Your happiness is not circumstance dependent. Your happiness is not dependent on situations. It's not dependent on people. Another thing is, recently in The Chosen, a couple episodes ago, Jesus decided during Rosh Hashanah to go home and visit Mary, to go back to Nazareth and go back. I mentioned earlier his brothers, Jude and James, took off to the next town. But has anybody had the experience of trying to go home and stay with your family? Ricky, you went to stay with your mother. Yeah, I see around. Yep, there we are, Tanya. We know how that is. When you have to, Wesley and Angie, Angie's like right there, Patricia. We know what it's like. Now, what did Jesus say in the Bible about this? He said, a prophet is never a prophet in his hometown. We should have been reading our Bible and paying closer attention, Cindy, before you went to that family to help your son with the broken leg. It's better to read Jesus in the Bible A prophet is never a prophet in his hometown. Now, with Ken and Anna, they're in Spain, all these beautiful gatherings happening, and then after 3 months, your visa status, because Anna's from Guatemala and Ken's from the UK, so their visa status ran out. But that's for the mind. That's not for Ken and Anna. So they had to go up to the UK. And again, Ken, it was beautiful. It was like, that was an answer to your prayer. Ken's like, please, I gotta give up these past associations with my family. Jesus is like, no problem. I'll send you and Anna up to the UK. Now for Anna, she remembers when she went back to Guatemala from Mexico. She's like, oh, I should have been reading that one too. A prophet, Mom, along with put God first. Actually, he says a prophet is never a prophet in his hometown, because when she went back into the family situation, I think you said there was some people trying to get your dad to kill him or something. Oh, that's a nice Guatemala situation to go for the prophet of God to go home and they're trying to kill your dad. But you said to Ken, oh, I've already walked through this. I've just been through. I'm here to give you full support as Ken went through the undoing of the family self-concept. Jesus wasn't messing around in the Bible. He basically was speaking as the light, and he was trying to save everybody some time. And when you have issues that you feel are family issues, that's just trying to have a self-concept, a make-believe egoic self-concept above God, the creator. And the creator is always what we're going for. We want to have the same love towards our family that we would have for everyone. What is there now, 7.8 billion? Wouldn't you love to be able to greet each one of the 7.8 billion with the same love that had nothing to do with the past? Wouldn't that be amazing? And the only way you can do that is to put God first. So I think that's another practical aspect for Ken and Anna. They've just accepted invitations, and when they had to leave Spain, they had to leave Spain, all for the healing. And even now, coming down to Mexico, what a fresh start. You've got God first. That's the greatest mind position to be in. Put God first, and then you can enjoy all the holy encounters that come. And also, you don't have to be concerned with the body. I was recently in Florida, and there was a little bit of this, people being tested with COVID and this and that. I know that's going on now in Mexico, but it doesn't really relate to putting God first. When you put God first, you're basically saying, I trust that everything that seems to occur in form is just so that I can learn to keep God first, and keep my true identity in its pristine innocence. And then whatever is happening in the world, whether it seems to be a war, a pandemic, or whatever, that is not even a close second. That is a nothingness, a nada. That's how it registers when you put God first. So yeah, wow, Francis. Thank you, Ken and Anna, for sharing that, because that's a perfect witness, a perfect example for us. Well, what do you feel next, Francis?
Yeah, I also we have been reading a lot of the questions, and they're like talking about, almost like why, if God is with us, why am I still going through all this intensity and all this emotional trauma? And that is, this is what I was even talking to David a little bit, because yesterday I had another talk with our friend Susanna, and she was telling me, showering me with all these miracles that she was going through. But I remember months ago, she was going through a deep, deep emotional turmoil. She was in a very, very dark place. And she was talking with me and saying, I have no idea how I can heal this. Can you tell me how I can heal this? And there was this deep struggle, like not able to see herself out of that darkness. And I remember I was praying with her, and all that I said was that all that I know is that there is a guidance for you to travel from Cincinnati to Utah. And I do not know anything else, how we can heal ourselves, how we can get ourselves off darkness, how we can forgive even, because there was a forgiveness. But all that I know is there is a piece of guidance coming through. And I know in guidance is everything done. So why don't we just focus on this single piece of guidance, just travel from Cincinnati to Utah, which comes in a couple of days, and not trying to struggle and battle or heal anything else, just focus on guidance, focus on what is provided by Jesus. So she went on this 3-day or 4-day road trip, and she was having a mini experience of what Ken and Anna were just talking about. She was hosted by different people. And David was basically the one who felt the guidance and told Susanna to do that. And when she was needing a place just to herself to be quiet and to emote, a house was given her that the host was gone. It was an empty house. It was everything was needed. And by the time she arrived in Utah, she was completely in gratitude. And we were talking last night, just saying, how dark was that time, and yet how simple the answer. And then we were talking about other little things, and she was saying, how do we forgive this? How do I forgive this one? And we said, well, you didn't forgive the other one. Remember, that was Jesus. That through guidance, so we don't have to worry about any of it. We just have to focus and give all our trust to what is coming in as this guidance. And this is really so important, the guidance, the listen and follow. That is our salvation. That is our healing. That is our happiness. That's our forgiveness. Actual practical guidance. In it, the mind changed. We can't understand why. We couldn't understand before that was changed. We couldn't understand even after that was changed. All that we know is it was changed and it cannot go back. There's only gratitude now. There was no grievance left. So this is how the guidance works, Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that guidance is not to make a better future or to hold on to the past in any way. Guidance is always purposely given you to let go of the past and let go of the future. Guidance is always to take you to the present moment. It's always to take you to the holy instant. There is no other purpose. So when people have ideas like manifesting, like I want to learn to be intuitive and follow guidance so I can get this thing, I want a better house, I want a life partner, soulmate, I want to live in this climate, I want to blah, 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 blah. No. That's not the purpose of guidance. Guidance is to be present. Eckhart Tolle would tell you the same thing, that when he surrendered and said, I can't do this anymore, then he woke up hearing birds chirping, because he woke up in peace of mind, in an entirely different state of mind than when he went to sleep. But before he went to sleep, he said, this is intolerable. I can't do this anymore. That's important. That's important to come to that point of saying, this is intolerable. I'm worth more than this conflict. I'm worth more than this struggle. I'm worth more than this challenge. I'm worth everything. God created me as everything, so I'm worth everything. And what Francis is sharing is just so important in the sense that as we pray, listen, and follow, it's always about the surrender of coming back to the core of our being, and not about anything in form. Sometimes people think, well, if I could just hear the Holy Spirit clearer, that would make my world so much better in form. And Eckhart is an example of how the shift occurred in mind, but it did not occur. It looked the same way. Actually, he was in the same circumstances before, when he was in struggle, and when he surrendered. He was still in the same seeming circumstances, but nothing changed in form. So as we pray and listen and follow, people have said to me over the years, I've been doing this pray, listen, and follow for about 3.5 decades, but there's nothing I can really tie together in form. None of the form ever meant anything. It's just the way of looking at the world had shifted. That was the big shift. It wasn't a shift in specifics. It was a shift in the way of looking at things. I know there were many times, where I just, like at the beginning when Jesus said, he told me we're going traveling, and I just thought initially, well, this is going to be interesting. I thought, I don't even like to travel. And Jesus is saying we're going traveling. And then I thought there'd be a much more bigger plan of details. I didn't really expect the first instruction to be go west. I was like, go west. Oh my God. I thought, uh-oh, I'm in for the ride of my lifetime, like Ricky's song, Go West. And then when it was go west, then the miracles just came flooding in. The first day was full of miracles. The second day was full of miracles. I just followed the go west, and then the miracles were just coming and flooding and flooding and flooding. It just kept going on and on for years and years. So the key element is to be willing to follow the guidance. It's not enough to discern it and hear it. You actually have to follow it. You have to take action on it to really show your faith. And then when you take action on the guidance, whoosh, you feel this huge expansion, like, whoa, I just said yes and followed the guidance, and whoa, my mind felt like it expanded so much. And that's how I knew I was onto it. Like, oh, okay, this is the way. It's not about aiming for things in form and having form goals. It's about being willing to listen and follow. And all of us can do that. It's that we all can do this. We can't let the ego try to dissuade us from this listen and follow. And then it's just amazing. And it's always something that we need to release, like self-concept, something around the self-concept. Whatever we believe. We were just on a trip to Florida, and then Svava came down and she was practicing and got her guitar out, and then suddenly she felt a scratch in her throat. And the next thing she knows, her guitar wouldn't play, and she just had to surrender and release playing the guitar, singing, speaking. She had to release it all and just say, wow, just being. I want to be in the joy. Even if I can't do the things that I expected to do, I still need to just be in the innocence, be in the joy, feel the love, feel the happiness, feel the gratitude. And then a friend came in, she said, oh, I've been tested as with COVID, positive for COVID and everything. Well, for me, there was zero precautions. I was in the same bedroom. She was coughing, hacking, wheezing in the middle of the night, and I'm in the same bed. Talk about social distancing. Put God first. Come on now, put God first. So I had to get up, and I had to give the talks and do whatever I had to do because I put God first. That was it. And to me, that's the answer to everything. That's what Ken and Anna were sharing. They just kept putting God first over and over and over and over and over. And that's how your faith develops. That's how your strength develops. That's how you can say, like Jesus, be of good cheer. The world is underfoot. Ooh, underfoot. Imagine that. COVID is underfoot. War is underfoot. Famine is underfoot. you know, conflict is underfoot. Transcend. Let your mind be the light of the world. I can't think of a better theme we could ever have than the light has come. Let's rejoice. Let's be exceedingly glad that the light has come.
I was just remembering this scene in the Chosen episode where Jesus came to this fountain of healing fountain, and all the people were there laying, trying to be the first one to jump in the fountain when the bubbling shows up, because the bubble apparently have healing power. And then this guy who was paralyzed for 30 plus years, he never get to the fountain first because nobody carries him. And then Jesus came and just said, "Do you want to be healed?" And he said, "Nobody carries me to the fountain." The light has come. He was in the presence of the light. And Jesus says, "Get up and walk." You don't need a fountain. You don't need another medium. You don't need anything else in this world to provide healing to you. When I am here, I am your healer. You know, this is the message of the light has come. And this light is telling all of us, you don't need anything else in this world anymore. You don't need the fountain. You don't need anybody even carry you. You don't need this to be healed. You don't have to say, well, I have to do this, and this. None. We wipe it all out. The light has come, like Jesus is saying to all of us, get up and pick up your bed and walk, because I am here. In my presence, you need nothing else. And that scene is just so, I don't know, it feels so relatable to me, especially in this world when we think you need medicine, need get this all done, then maybe I can follow God. Jesus said, get up and walk right now, because I'm here.
Beautiful. Well, maybe we can go hear a little bit from Micah and Amanda. Amanda was in Mexico and Micah came down there where they met in Mexico, and then off they go on their journey. And I know when you went over to Spain, you didn't know how it was going to work. I don't think it was in Amanda's plan to live in a big house with a bunch of other people. It maybe Amanda had to face things with daughters, mother, sickness and ailments. I think there was something that happened with Micah, and Micah having to go to the hospital, and then this house appearing, Barreau de Luz, which it just dropped into their lap, and they had no plan for it, and signed a 5-year lease on a house on the side of a mountain north of Barcelona. So maybe you can just share a bit about how you just put God first, and then whoa, hold on to your hat.
Hi. Hello. Oh, I feel very grateful for today. When I listen Ken and Anna, my heart is, oh my God, so open, very open. Oh, I don't know, maybe you can.
Sure. Share a little. Yeah, like you said, David, since we were in Mexico where we met in La Casa, for me at least, that's where I really had a deep prayer for peace of mind. You know, I really was at that point, like you're speaking of, where I just needed something, I wanted something different. And it seems like that's the prayer, and like you're speaking about today, putting God first, like that's the means. And there's nothing else that can really work to fill that prayer. And so, I mean, yeah, it's been, I can't believe it's been 2 years or more since that moment. And here we are, like you were saying, and there's been a lot of miracles for us as well, and just kind of always practicing the praying, listening, following, and you know, it's always a practice for sure.
Yeah.
But in doing that and just kind of following our hearts, you know, to be able to share and join with other mighty companions, you know, and experiencing that for ourselves at La Casa, how helpful and beautiful that is in the joining. It's like there was that inspiration there, and then it just seemed like things just kept unfolding to steer us in the direction of finding ourselves in this house. And just extending, you know, however that looks, whatever form. And I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of miracle stories, like you were saying, and a lot of healing stories as well, of course.
More love, more peace. More peace and reality. Well, for me, it's some difficult for express in English, but I can a little word. But I feel very grateful in my heart for this year ago, because many healing for myself, for seeing many things, many beliefs in my mind, and including I feel very love with everyone. I mean, including with Micah. Today I talked with him about how I surrender. I only need to surrender. I don't need to understand nothing in this world. I only need follow, pray, only listen God. And I don't know, David, Francis, Anna, Ken, everyone. I feel very grateful in my heart, because 2 years ago, when I go to Mexico, La Casa, my life changed, and everything, including my role with my daughters, with my grandson. I don't know, everything changed. This house, I feel very grateful with Jesus for this house, because my heart every day is more open. I understand now many things. And I don't understand many things now too. But I don't know, I only can feel more and more love. Including it's more difficult for me to judge many things now, because in my past, oh my God, many things. But now it's very different. Including every day when I read in the lesson, I open the book for reading other things. It's amazing, because I feel the Holy Spirit has told me, speak with me. For this, sometimes I put this post, because only feel the I only listen. This Holy Spirit with me. I feel very grateful with everyone. I feel very myself.
Thank you both, because I know it's been a lot of acceptance. You know, really, our theme is the light has come, and the devotion is just to accept that the light has come. Because as we accept the light has come, then we have a disinterest in the circumstances, and yet it's still delightful. Like I know for both of you, that house just dropped into your lap. It was like predestined. It was preordained. It just dropped easily and effortlessly right into your lap. And then you accepted it with a big yes. And that's a great example about how life is meant to be. When you accept the light has come, then gone are the questions, where will the body live? Gone are the questions about travel of what? Travel of a body? No, don't need that one either. Gone are all the questions that seem to be very practical questions in the world, but actually the light has come, transcends all the questions of the world. The light has come is the answer to all the questions that the ego can come up with. It's always very simple. And then you can just shine your light. I mean, if you are the light and the light has come, then all you have to do is shine, shine, shine. That's it. There's nothing else. And so you can see why this is a course in trust. You can see why Jesus says trust would settle every problem now, is because he means it. He means that present trust handles everything. And just like with Eckhart and his park bench experience, before enlightenment, park bench. After enlightenment, park bench. It's not like he had angels and gold raining down on him on the park bench. It's just he surrendered. Let's say he surrendered and became happy. And that's what our prayer is, to know that. So wow. This session is flying by with the light. It's beautiful. Well, I did see that Dan had put his hand up, and the funny thing, Dan, when you put your hand up, was I was looking right down at your name. And Francis, maybe you can read that beautiful prayer that Dan quoted.
Yes. Yeah, I was just thinking that too. It's such a beautiful, such a beautiful prayer that is coming from the Course, just a perfect match to what we just been talking about in the last couple of hours. Dan said, my prayer is one I've been intoning, not always mindfully, for 30 years. It is beautifully voiced in Review 5, Introduction, paragraphs 2 and 3. Steady our feet, our Father. Let our doubts be quiet and our holy minds be still, and speak to us. We have no words to give to you. We would but listen to your word and make it ours. Lead our practicing as does a father lead a little child along a way he does not understand. Yet does he follow, sure that he is safe because his father leads the way for him. So do we bring our practice to you. And if we stumble, you will raise us up. If we forget the way, we count upon your sure remembering. We wander off, but you will not forget to call us back. Quicken our footsteps now, that we may walk more certainly and quickly unto you. And we accept the word you offer us to unify our practicing as we reveal the thoughts that you have given us.
And that prayer is very much like the last five workbook lessons that Jesus closes his full year of mind training. This holding instant would I give to you, be you in charge, for I would but follow. That is the meaning of put God first. That is the meaning of not letting your mind get caught up in body thoughts. And also Jesus is so practical. So Jesus is like saying, put God first and you'll see how wonderful this is going to work out. And then with the body thoughts, what Jesus is saying is, give them to me. Give all your body thoughts to me. And I will orchestrate time and space for you to reach a point of letting go. What does it mean to give over body thoughts? It means take no thought for what you should wear, what you should eat. It means that if you truly put God first, that everything that comes will be orchestrated, and you'll know it's orchestrated too. You won't call it a chance or an accident. You'll be thankful, like Amanda was for the house. When the house came, she's like, thank you. How lovely that is. And with Ken and Anna, having been able to witness you for years, and your transparency at everything that you seem to go through. Wow, your function and your happiness are one. As you put God first, that is where the healing occurs. That is where the happiness occurs. It reminds me of this movie, and I show on Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment. It's called Dark City, and it's really all these dark attack thoughts, but it's all about the power of the mind. And the main character finally, he's ready to accept his function and accept his own power in God. And so this character shows up and puts all of these happy reinterpreted memories in this syringe, and then he puts the syringe into the main character's head, and all these memories that he had are all lit up with light as everything is completely reinterpreted. And at one point, the main character is receiving all this guidance. As he gets lighter and lighter, the voice says, "There is no time for romance." And as he's got to accept the correction for the whole universe, he is taken into a very empowered state of mind in which he's able to turn the darkness around to the light and see the light for the first time. And in that movie, when I saw that movie in the theater, when that blazing light came on in the end, it was like, oh my God, it was the answer to everything. So that's our prayer. This was just our first session. And we love you all. Remember, the light has come. Yay!